All right, so I'm a few days late to the party for this one, mainly because, I mean, like I said, Wednesdays aren't always the best days for me because I'm super busy, so I always push it to Thursday. Yesterday we we got about 10 inches of snow where I am right now, and so I had to kind of sort through that before. So that kind of took up a lot of yesterday. So finally got around to The Bad Batch Season 2, Episode 9, The Crossing, and I don't know, this episode was, I mean, I guess this start to say it's technically another two-parter, I mean, or at least a multi-part episode, because, I mean, the way they end this episode definitely does not feel like, yeah, we sorted everything out, we got out of the situation, because really, they're still in a bit of a situation. So basically this story episode, I mean, focuses on the Bad Batch, after the events of the last episode. So Echo is gone. It's just Omega, Hunter, Wrecker, and Tech now. And so, they're trying to adjust without Echo now, so it's basically they're just trying to adjust, and they have a job on this desert planet where they go into this Ipsium mine. I'm probably gonna get that wrong either way, but it's a mine that Sid bought, and so she sent them out there to just kind of go mine as much as they can so they can actually make some money. And Ipsium is a resource that goes into explosives, and it's actually a very, 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 very unstable one at that, because literally it's like in Mandalorian with the Rhydonium truck. Like if you're not careful with it, it'll explode. So that's exactly what the crew are trying to do here. However, when they go into the mine, they have Wrecker and Omega keep watch while Tech and Hunter go inside, because someone's gotta keep an eye on the ship. But then they need Omega to come help, because they have to get to a high advantage point, but Omega's the only one who can really get up there, because it's both you gotta maneuver through some small areas and you gotta climb, so Omega's pretty good at that. And unfortunately, Wrecker, when he's out there, the few moments when he like the crew calls back to him and he turns around, that's when a certain this mysterious scavenger kind of sneaks up to the ship, and I don't know, I guess my head is just spinning around as to who it could possibly be. I'm like, okay, maybe is this going to be someone important, or is this going to be some new character that they're going to introduce? I'm like, but basically, but the Marauder gets stolen. That's probably the biggest reason where I'm like, okay, this person's gonna come back, right? Like, you don't just have some random person steal one of the bigger ships in the show and just go away with it, right? The Marauder hasn't had a big episode or anything. It's the main ship of the crew. It's been there since the first episode, and I mean, I don't know. It's not like if in Rebels the Ghost would be stolen and then we never see it again because some random person got lucky, or the Millennium Falcon got stolen. It's so. I mean, hopefully somehow this comes back into play, but of course for Omega, she's crushed that the Marauder has now been stolen, and of course for the crew, for Hunter, Tech, and Wrecker, they're more focused on the fact that they are kind of stranded now on this planet, so so they're just like, okay, now what do we got to do? And so Tech is basically saying, okay, well, there's a station that way, so let's get moving. But of course for Omega, she's like, wait, we gotta try and get the Marauder back, right? It's like, what, can we track it? Maybe we can contact Echo. But Tech Tech, for the most part, kind of shuts all those down, just being like, well, I mean, the Marauders, it seems that the Marauders tracking device has been disabled. Echo also has disabled his communication device, but that's probably because he's on a mission and he needs to be covert as possible. So, but of course, the way Tech delivers the lines makes it sound like he's kind of acting, the way he's saying it makes it sound like he's a jerk, when in reality, like, his delivery of them are a little bit, like, you can kind of understand, like, I mean, for me, Tech throughout the show has been like that, you know, like, the way obviously his personality, the way he talks, the way he kind of works things, like, the way he kind of observes the situation, you know, he doesn't go at it like, you know, like Hunter would, or obviously Wrecker, you know, because he's thinking multiple steps ahead with, like, planning things out, or just going more on, like, the numbers. So he's focusing on that, which of course for some people makes it seem like he doesn't care, when in reality, as Omega finds out later in this episode, he actually does. And I found that really interesting. I found that really nice in terms of building character. I mean, because we already had a Tech-focused episode with the racing episode, but that was more focusing on, like, Tech's skills and, like, how he strategizes and how he actually can be a valuable asset to the team. Whereas this one, it focuses more on his personality and his emotional, like, state. Like, because, again, you know, he doesn't exactly express his feelings the same way as Omega, Hunter, or Wrecker would. And, yeah. But, yeah, so after they lose the ship and they start hiking, oh wait, I want to backtrack real quick. So, I think it was funny, so when the first shot of this episode, it's them on the Marauder, and it's going over this canyon, you know, going over this canyon, like, kind of looked like the Grand Canyon a little bit, and the first thing that popped in my mind, because this is Dave Filoni, I'm like, are we gonna have a Great Divide episode like in Avatar: The Last Airbender? Like, are they gonna, because I don't know, I guess, like, I think it would be hilarious if Star Wars or the Avatar, or once Avatar, Avatar, the new Avatar shows that are coming out, like, it would be funny if they went back to the Great Divide and actually got a good story out of it, or at least a funny one, because, I mean, Great Divide and Avatar: The Last Airbender, like, a lot of people hate that episode, and yeah, I don't disagree, it's not a great episode, but I think it's just hilarious how in the show they made fun of that, so I'm wondering if there's a possibility that if anyone tries to take another crack at the Great Divide, they actually do a good job. So I guess I kind of was just hoping that would be the case, but that's not, because rather they focus more on the Lion King here, because they're going through the canyon, and all of a sudden there's a stampede of basically wildebeest. And so they're running, you know, it's like, you immediately think Lion King, like, even, like, there's an overhead shot of the wildebeest running through. There's a moment where Wrecker has to fall down and he has to hold on to the Itzium, because, again, if it goes unstable, it'll explode and it'll kill everyone, so he has to hold on to it, so he literally drops down, he kind of goes like a turtle, and just, like, takes all the hits. But unfortunately for them, that's not the worst of it, because the reason why the wildebeest were running through the canyon was because there was a storm coming, and so the storm literally sweeps them up. Fortunately, they were able to hide in another mine. But unfortunately, Wrecker had to leave the Ipsium, which then caused the Ipsium to be flung towards them, causing it to explode, causing it to have a cave in, and yeah, that's rough. But once again, you know, Omega is not happy with it, but then it's interesting to see how, you know, Tech it's, you know, again, it's like, oh man, how we're trapped now? And then Wrecker's like, well, I had to die. Or no, Tech's like, well, we wouldn't be trapped if you had hung onto the Ipsium and not caused it to explode. And then Wrecker's like, well, I was taking more of my life trying to get out of the storm than actually holding onto it. It's like, and then, so it's like, you kind of see them fighting, you know, the sibling fights, and it's, I mean, yeah, they're brothers, so technically speaking, that's not a rare thing. That's not rare to see. But Omega, of course, just it's just piling onto what's already have happened. They like again, Echo left the crew. Echo is temporarily gone from the crew. They lost the ship, maybe temporarily, and now she's seeing her group fight. And so, she's very upset about all that. And even like Hunter's trying to comfort her, just being like, Echo's not gone, he's just on another mission. We didn't lose like and I think our Tech focuses on the Marauder being like, well, it's just a ship, it's not like, we're still here as a group, but Omega's like, it wasn't just a ship, it was our home. And yeah, I mean, for her, it really felt like a second home for her, because outside of Kamino, she really didn't have a home. And then, of course, she even goes on, like, Echo being like, Echo was one of us, we're a family. And then Tech kind of said, like, well, Echo, we were a group before Echo came along, and we'll be a group long after he's gone. And I'm like, I feel like that was like the one line where I'm like, okay, maybe you could have said that a little bit better. Like, I mean, maybe he could have said like, well, we were family, we were a group before Echo came along, and we'll still remain a group regardless of who leaves. Like, maybe something like that could have helped. But at the same time, it would still deliver that punch of like, oh man. But the fact that he singled out Echo on that latter half of the sentence, in my opinion, is where it's like, okay, dude, maybe you shouldn't say that. But Omega gets, of course, frustrated, so she leaves, or goes deep into the mine, I should say, and then Hunter is like, yeah, we'll let her go, let her, we gotta figure out a way out of here. But for Omega, she just goes deeper into this mine, and she finds some Ipsium, so she starts mining it. And then Tech eventually, comes in because, he's trying to figure out, like, what got into Omega, and Hunter kind of leans into it being like, she's upset, this is kind of new to her in a way, like, she has him, I mean, granted, Crosshair, she only knew Crosshair for a short amount of time, and she knew him leaving wasn't his fault, so... Whereas Echo, on the other hand, he chose to leave, so there is that, like, kind of thing to it. But, so she goes, but so for Tech, he has to understand how Omega's feeling about the situation. And like I said, it's not that he isn't feeling these things, it's just the way that he expresses them are a bit different, which is, when you look at real life, that is true. That is a very true thing when it comes to people, because not everyone's going to express their feelings the exact same way. Like, if that was the case, then this would be a very interesting society, I think, to say the least. But for Omega, she's just trying to do something right, I guess. Again, she's mining this Ipsium, and Tech eventually comes in to help her. And I like Omega just being like, you don't think I can do this? And Tech's like, no, I'm well aware that you are capable of doing this. Like, again, it's like Tech trusts Omega with this. It's just he just doesn't know the full 100% of what she's feeling, or how she's doing things, or how what she is, what she's like. And for Omega, she has to kind of understand that as well, which eventually is what happens, because there's a moment where she's trying to get one last Ipsium, but it's a little bit off from this cliff, so she slips and falls, and a part of me was just like, how are they gonna get out of this? And I love Tech just looks down, and he's just like, he just basically shrugs his shoulders and he jumps down with her. And I think he knew that there was like an aqueduct that was at the bottom, and they land in it, they get swept away, they enter another area of the mine, and it's a really nice setting because you get some Ipsium under the water, so it emits this blue glow throughout the cave. And so Omega and Tech, they have to hang out there for a bit, and they see a way out, but they need an explosive, so they call Hunter and Wrecker to go retrieve the gear, fall down in the aqueduct. I love that. It's it's when Hunter and Wrecker see it, and then Wrecker's just like, I hate this planet. It's so good. But it gives Tech and Omega time to talk, and like I said, Omega is like, she's sad that they lost their home, they lost Echo, and of course she's wondering why Tech isn't why Tech doesn't seem like he cares. And then of course Tech says, it's like, it's not that I don't care, it's just it's the way I see things, the way I express myself is different. It's like, it's not that he doesn't miss Echo or he isn't upset that they lost the Marauder. It's just he's more focusing on the other aspects of it. It's like, well, why is Echo gone? Well, Echo's on another mission, and like he said, we've been a team without Echo before, and heck, we can even make an argument we've been a team since Crosshair's been gone. And of course, again, he's like, for him, maybe the Marauder probably wasn't like a home per se. It was just their ship. It was just their mode of transportation, because when he thinks about a home, he's probably thinking like, well, I was raised on Kamino, I had my team here. It's like, he's not thinking about those aspects of it, but at the same time, it's not that he doesn't care. Again, he probably is upset that they lost the ship. I mean, Hugh McKinney, he is upset that he lost the ship, because he's like, you were supposed to keep watch, now we're stranded. It's like, but again, it's a nice little moment for Omega and Tech to kind of understand each other a little bit more. For Tech to understand that Omega, he learning about each other, learning about how each of them kind of express their feelings, basically. So, yeah. But, yeah. And then eventually the scene ends with Hunter and Wrecker coming through the aqueduct, and you just hear their screams, or at least Wrecker's screams. I think Hunter was fine with it the whole way through. And so they get out of the cave because they just put the Ipsium capsule in the crack in the wall, and then Tech shoots it right on. Then, luckily for them, they just conveniently show up at the town that Tech says they can go to, but it's abandoned, so there's no ship, so they contact Sid, but Sid's like, it's gonna take me a few days, and of course Hunter's like, well, we don't have a few days, we're thin on rations as it is, but then Sid ends the call before he even finishes the sentence, so they're basically on their own, and there's a storm off in the distance. You kind of hear some Western style music playing in the background, and the episode pretty much ends there. So I don't know. It's interesting. Again, it's interesting how not a lot happened in this episode, but we got a nice little moment with Omega and Tech. We're seeing the team kind of adjusting to the fact that they're now another man down, and along with the fact that they lost their ship, now they have to kind of work with figuring things out, just like they're stuck in this town with a storm coming for a few days without a ship, and they're low on food. How are they gonna get out of that? But yeah, I think for me, because I know there's only, this is episode 9 of a 16 episode season, so where's this gonna go? I mean, because clearly the second season is going somewhere. I wouldn't say cataclysmic, because because we know the Stormtrooper program is now in full swing. We know that the clones are going to be decommissioned somehow. So we're on this desert planet, though. So I guess that's just me being like, where are we going now? Like, I think for me, this is where I'm like, okay, how many more of these, like, one-off missions are there? Or these missions that don't connect, per se? Like, this is where I'm going to be like, okay, wait. So, we'll see. But, those are my thoughts, and, yeah. Yeah, so we'll see what happens in the next episode.